Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 9 of Through the Bible. Today we're going to be taking a look at Genesis chapter 33 through 36. So we see that God, in some time, probably about 20 years, had done a work in Esau's life. So when Jacob shows back up in the area where they were from, it seems like things are a lot better. Esau seems genuinely glad to see him. Jacob still is understandably concerned about the relationship, but they are getting along much better. And we see that finally today that when they go to bury Isaac, they do it together. In 34, we see where Jacob has moved to a town called Shechem, and there's a man there by the name of Shechem who violates Dinah, Jacob's daughter. Now, the word that's often translated there, rape, could mean something a little bit differently and probably does. The words there mean to be taken and to be defiled. And defiled, we can break that down into brought low, polluted, made unclean, out of covenant. So regardless of exactly what the situation was, they certainly had not done things correctly. We see that it was not done in covenant, and it brought dishonor to both Dinah and to her family. So when Hiram, the father of Shechem, comes and he tries to make a deal to take Dinah as his son Shechem's wife, there's this deception that takes place, and you can read about that. But there's a few things that we have questions about. One is we understand at first that Jacob is silent because his sons aren't with him. But later, why does he still remain silent when all of this stuff is taking place? Why does he wait until after the massacre of this village before he's willing to say anything about it? He seems to be more concerned about the fact that what his neighbors might think of him and what they might do to him, rather than the fact that his daughter has been violated. And it seems like it is Levi and Simeon who are looking for justice, who are looking for righteousness to take place out of this situation that's happened. We don't really know all of that, but we have to question, is it maybe because Dinah was the daughter of Leah, who was not as loved? Had she been the daughter of Rachel, would it maybe have made a difference? Jacob was not where he was supposed to be. He had vowed that Yahweh would be his God. He had vowed that Bethel would be God's house and that he was going back to Bethel, and that he would tithe to God. All this was in Genesis 28:13 through 15 and 31:3. He is supposed to be back in Bethel. Instead, he's in Shechem. Why he stopped there, why he didn't quite make it, I believe it was only about 15 miles difference. Why he didn't do that, we don't know. But had he gone on to where he was supposed to be, then it's possible that none of this would have happened. And we have to ask ourselves, how many times in our life has God called us to be somewhere, we stop on the way, we go part way, we don't quite finish the journey, and things happen to us. And sometimes it's easy to start blaming God or to thinking something else, but in reality it was because we weren't where we were supposed to be at the time. It's a question that we need to ask ourselves, and it's a question as to why Jacob might not have done that in his life. But we do see this progression as he is growing deeper and deeper into God. So he does leave the area primarily because of this. God finally gives the command to get rid of all the household idols. So before, we see where Rachel had taken her father's household idol, and we see these other idols that are a part of their daily lives and so forth, and we question that and we wonder about that. But if we look back through Scripture, we don't see that direct command from God yet to get rid of those things. So even before the Ten Commandments, he tells Jacob, get rid of these things, get them out. So he's going into a deeper commitment now. He reiterates the name change. I wonder if that name change would have had to have happened a second time had he just gone on to where he was supposed to be the first time. But he reiterates, your name is now Israel. He tells him to be fruitful and multiply. So again, going back to the Adamic covenant with Adam and Eve, and then Noah again was told to be fruitful and multiply. And now Jacob is also being told to be fruitful and multiply. And we see again where Jacob sets up a memorial marker, and we've talked about how important those are. Then we see the death of Rachel during childbirth. She names the son Benoni, which means son of my sorrow. Jacob says that's never going to work, so he says we're going to call him Benjamin, which means son of my right hand. And Benjamin becomes a very important figure as we move forward in the story. And then we see that Reuben sleeps with his father's concubine. This is going to bring judgment, not at that moment, but later on in Genesis 49, 3 through 4, we see the curse that is brought upon him as Jacob is giving the blessings to his sons. And that tells us that we need to be careful. Just because we're not paying for something at the time, we reap what we sow, and sometimes it takes those things a while to grow up. So we need to be careful not to get involved in things that we don't want to pay for later. And so that's pretty much the story of Genesis 33 through 36. We'll see you next time. God bless.